First up on the show, as part of the post-war plan for Gaza, the Israeli military has come up with a pilot scheme which will outline how the territory will be governed after the militant group is defeated. It aims to create humanitarian enclaves for Gazan civilians who are not linked to the Hamas. The plan is all set to be rolled out in two northern Gaza cities of Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia and will give local Palestinians aid distribution responsibilities. Now, under the project, the Israeli forces would retain security duties while Palestinians would gradually take over civil governance. Now, let's explain this further. The Israeli military would first funnel and from nearby Western Erez crossing, which would then be passed to designated local Palestinians who would distribute the aid initially and gradually expand their responsibilities in Gaza with the ultimate aim of taking over civilian governance in the area. Meanwhile, Israeli forces will retain security duties in the besieged Gaza Strip. Now, according to a former Israeli official, the humanitarian enclaves are just one component of the broader three-tier post-war strategy. The plan aims to engage a wide international coalition, including the Palestinian Authority and moderate Arab states. If successful, Israel would then expand the bubble southward to other parts of Gaza as a way to replace Hamas rule after nearly 2 decades of the militant group governing the Strip. Now, the latest Israeli initiative comes after months of international pressure on the Netanyahu government to formulate a credible alternative regime for post-war Gaza. However, some of those familiar with the plan downplayed its chances of success. They said that Israel has been working to identify potential non-Hamas local leadership since November but has not been successful so far. And we're now being joined by Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Mordechai Kedar, who is the former senior IDF military intelligence officer. He served for 25 years in the IDF military intelligence. He joins us live from Tel Aviv. Dr. Kedar, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. How likely is it for this plan to succeed, given the infighting in the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government over the details and the tepid backing from Arab states?
Well, first of all, I have to correct you the thing in your report. You talked about Hamas as a militant group. No, they are not militant. They are a terror group, which took over Gaza 16 or 17 years ago, and they ruled Gaza with weapons, and any Gazan who would say anything against them would be killed immediately. The same is now. We are trying to push forward the people of Gaza to take care of themselves. With the frameworks of clans which they live in, and but the terror organization and Hamas doesn't allow them. They want to continue their control or their grip over the necks of the Gazans. And this is the problem. They steal the food which we give them, they steal all the humanitarian aid and sell it to the Gazans in order to gain money. In order to operate as a terror organization, and we have to get rid of them first, and then to delegate the authorities to the local people to take care of themselves.
Right. I take your point there, but obviously there are differences and nuances of what you call the Hamas, given that there are many indications and many other narratives.
Excuse me, this is not no.
There are many other narratives that say that the aid is being stopped by the Israelis. The aid is being stopped by the Israelis.
There is a difference. There is a difference between the truth and the false. The truth is this is a terror organization par excellence, defined as a terror organization in Europe and in America and in many other countries. I believe in India as well. So this is a terror organization, Hamas terror organization. What they do to their own people and what they do to us, it's the same thing, the same terror.
Fair enough. We'll leave that at that. But the story is not about Hamas right now. It's about you creating safety bubbles, so as to speak, about aid being provided. How feasible is that? How possible is that?
If we succeed to get rid of Hamas, the terror organization, every family or every clan will take care of itself. And this is how it works in the Arab world. As you know, the Emirates are, each and every one is a clan. Kuwait belongs to Al Sabah, the clan. Qatar belongs to Al Thani. Abu Dhabi belongs to a family named Al Nahyan, and so forth. This is the only thing which works in the Arab world. Whenever you have an area governed by a family, it works very well for the benefit of everybody. They don't need the terror organization. They don't need anyone. They can and they will take care of themselves. And this is the paradigm which Israel tries to implement in Gaza. And for example, it should also be in Judea and Samaria, the same thing. Because when you create a state like Syria, like Iraq, which is comprised of many groups, it ends up as mayhem. While if you establish a state based on a family, one single family, it is successful state, as we see in the Gulf. It's not because of the oil. Dubai has no oil. And Iraq, on the other side, has a lot of oil, and so does Libya. And Iraq and Libya are mayhem.
Dr. Kedar, is there consensus in Israel on who will govern Gaza post Hamas being defeated? There's a big if Hamas gets defeated, as you said.
The consensus is that the world, India included, and Israel, of course, as well, should get rid of Hamas, just like the world got rid of ISIS. Because ISIS and Hamas are the same thing. The difference is only the place. ISIS was in Iraq and Syria. Hamas are in Gaza and in Judea and Samaria. This, the so-called West Bank. Means the civilized world has to get rid of Hamas altogether. Then
what is your assessment of how many Hamas militants or terrorists are there in Gaza at the moment? How many have been killed, and what's the collateral?
I don't have the statistics, but many of them got killed, and the rest should be killed.
So there's 37,000 odd civilians dead, but we don't know the number of Hamas terrorists or militants that have been killed so far in this very long battle that's been taking place since October 7th.
Whoever carries a gun, whoever carries a missile is Hamas. He's not a citizen. Of course, he doesn't wear a uniform in order to make face as if a citizen, and people in the world will think, oh, these are citizens. No, these are terrorists, just like those who attacked Mumbai a few years ago. Of course, they had civil clothing, but they were terrorists. And I'm not sure that you in WION would call them militants. They
but
were
when
terrorists.
Dr. Kedar, this is comparing apples and oranges. When we killed, the terrorists involved in the Mumbai attacks, we did not kill civilians. That was quite clear. But there are 37,000 civilians, 60% of those women and children that are dying every day in Gaza. Let's put that aside. That's a point of contention. This is the first time that Netanyahu government is talking about a post-war plan. So I'm asking you again, who governs Gaza eventually?
The local families should govern themselves. They don't need Hamas, and they don't need the PLO, which is another terror organization, which makes face as if it is on a state on the make. But definitely the families, just like the Emirates in the Gulf, should govern Gaza and Judea and Samaria as well, what you call the West Bank.
Right. Dr. Kedar, thanks very much indeed for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.